Dear viewers, thank you for joining us. You're watching OBN Horn of Africa. This is your favorite program, Talk to OBN. Today we're going to talk about the current political dynamics of Ethiopia. I joined by Asqual Tafri, Ethiopian American Civic Council Public Relation Officer. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Addis. Glad to see you in Addis Ababa.
So far we have been having a virtual interview via Zoom, right? And this is a wonderful platform to discuss on the current affairs. How do you see the current political dynamics of Ethiopia?
Well, I'm very happy that you came to interview me here, and so glad to see you in person. I'm very happy about the peace process that just started. I'm very happy that we won the war. This is clear for the world to see. We did an incredibly good job managing the negotiation. Because, as I said earlier, Ethiopia was negotiating from a position of strength, and because of that, we were able to get the most out of it. And all I say is that I'm very happy about the peace, and we need to give peace a chance. So we need to start working into reconstruction efforts, rehabilitation efforts, talk about the IDP, rebuilding the hospitals that are damaged, and just focus on the peace process itself. I'm very, very encouraged about that.
Okay, after a very deadly war and confrontation between the federal government and TPLF, now it's being wrapped up. And what's your comment on this AU-led negotiation?
Yeah, I mean, they're doing a really good job overall. Of course, you're going to find a little hiccups here and there, but I think that the disarming of the TPLF is key. I think more focus should be given on that. Also, we know that TPLF also works with other terrorist groups. Their own general has admitted that they do work actively with terrorist groups. And so we need to strategically, using intelligence, dismantle that. If there is any support from foreign nations such as Egypt, Egypt is funding TPLF, that's also known. So we need to really understand the inner working of these terrorist groups and organizations and be able to dismantle it so that peace could be lasting, so that these other terrorist groups will not resurrect again, come through us from Sudan. So we need to just dismantle that infrastructure from within, is what I think is really important.
Appreciate it. Another, among the agreement between TPLF and the federal government, cessation of hostilities is the one, right? What has to be done to entertain peace, like the usual confrontation, like an insult and sort of this wrong narrative about the ongoing situation should be stopped here? And what ought to be done by stakeholders and the government and the TPLF entities to have peaceful Ethiopia?
That's a very good question, Addis. I see about a week and a half ago, TPLF's lobbyist, I think he uses a German name, but he's Nigerian born, lives in the United States, and he commented on a Twitter saying that Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's photo opportunity with Biden was just a photo opportunity, and here we are, we're having another sanction. I think it's sanction 2176. I don't remember the number, but he flashed that out, and that's after the peace negotiation has ended. That kind of worries me. First of all, we need to find out who are these people that are still advocating and then peace, who are still advocating to dismantle, maybe overthrow, threatening the prime minister directly. Who are these players? All we know is that they were paid by TPLF. So we need to figure out where this is coming from and what the sanction that they're talking about on Twitter is about. I mean, because that's very serious. If there's a peace negotiation, the peace negotiation should go forward with disarmament, and all of the governmental entities, in my view, should be controlled by the Ethiopian federal government. Ethiopian federal government should be able to appoint their own people in Mekelle and round up about the power and then elect officials there that would want to implement the peace process. So it's a combination of two. One, what's going on outside in the country, who are these lobbyists that are still advocating and threatening the prime minister. Two, what are we doing inside Mekelle to actually centralize the power under the federal government, because this is very important.
Some people are very doubtful whether this peace deal is going to be very durable or not. And what is on your mind? Meaning, do you think this peace deal would be implemented on the ground?
I think it will be, like I said earlier, I believe Ethiopia won the war decisively, won the war, and so the negotiation, Ethiopian government was negotiating from a position of strength, so I do believe they have the upper hand to amend the peace, and if the peace process doesn't go accordingly, they should be able to exert some authority at the federal level. Because after all, Mekelle is part of Ethiopia. It's not, and the rhetoric, the psychological warfare, they're saying that Tigray government doesn't exist. So if the peace negotiation doesn't go through, I am very confident that Ethiopia has very good, able negotiators to understand from the military aspect, including to the civilian aspect of the situation in Mekelle, and can actually, in my view, absolute disarmament is key. Yeah, they need to lay down arms, and they need to be able to control the government. I mean, they need to be able to control the state of Mekelle.
Okay, it's been fortnight since you've arrived here, right? And you've traveled to the northern part of Ethiopia. You visited IDP camps in Debra Brehan. And other places, right? Can you tell us about your observation there?
Yeah, we've been here with my family for about almost 20 days. The first thing we did is we traveled to Shawarobit, but we couldn't go there because they said there might be security issues there. So we went to Debra Brehan, and we brought over with the Asrat Foundation, which I'm a member. We sponsored 25 rape victims with Asrat Foundation, Dr. Walansa Asrat. And so what we did is we did the study and identified key people that were not only raped by TPLF when they occupied Shawarobit, but they were also ostracized by the community. One lady, her husband lives in Saudi Arabia. He divorced her on the spot. She has a 4-year-old son. So what we did was we brought in about 6 months ago, 25 of them. We provided shelter for them, housing, school, room and board, and also we gave each one of them, based on their talent, economic empowerment. So some of them are doing sweaters, some are creating art and selling it, and we also support their schooling. So we want them to go out, be economically independent, because when a woman is raped, she dies 3, 4, 5 times because society ostracizes them. And the other thing we did was we visited the Haile Mariam Mamo school, the greatest Ethiopian patriot that killed thousands of Italians. Haile Mariam Mamo was a pioneer in guerrilla fight against Italians. In fact, he was blinded and he was killing Italians while still wounded. And he said, it's okay if I lose my eye so long as Ethiopia doesn't lose its sovereignty. So we visited the school. School is in dire need of help. In there, we sponsored about 14 orphans. We gave them full funding for education for the whole year. So, and then the last thing we did is with my children, I visited the IDP, and there we interviewed a lot of people. In one tiny room, there were 187 of them. So there needs to be a lot of work done to support, the people that are displaced.
Okay, another thing. In the meantime, you paid a visit to the project, newly inaugurated project, is the Ntoto Unity Park, Sugar Park, perhaps. Have you done that?
Yes, we've done.
So this shows that the Ethiopian government has been doing two things parallelly: fighting the northern war and launching projects after projects. How do you comment that?
It's phenomenal. I mean, within just the last 4 years, all these things were done. While TPLF was in power for 27 years, they haven't done 1/3 of them. And what I'm seeing right now is just phenomenal beautification of Addis Ababa. The Unity Park is number one in my view. One, because it captured the whole entire nation's history. It had also documented accurately what happened during Derg. I lost my 14-year-old brother through the Red Terror. It showed that, so I broke down in tears when I saw that. I'm very thankful that the future generation knows the history. The Friendship Park is just phenomenal. The Ntoto Park. I mean, it's just, there's so much hope. As a diaspora, when I see that, I feel so much hope, not only just the beautification of the country, but also for us to come back and impart our knowledge, come and help our country, invest in Ethiopia. So it was just phenomenal. I'm very happy.
Okay, you, Biniam Tesfa Mariam and Hermela Ragai, mostly known for igniting the No More movement during the war. Now a lot is expected from you as well in this time. You need to propagate this peace process. And what is expected from this diasporas abroad in preaching peace for the diaspora and for domestic dwellers here?
So what we did is in our diaspora advocacy, as soon as the peace process went through, we all started tweeting, let's give peace a chance. Stop divisive media that goes out and preaches divisiveness. Let's come together and give peace a chance. That's very important. And the second thing that we really need to do is let's support the infrastructure that's destroyed by TPLF. If you look at the Jewish Americans, the diaspora really supports Israel, 100%. If you look at the Eritrean Americans, the diaspora, I'm not saying the diaspora is the only, but diaspora is key. Not only we fought off sanctions. In fact, if these sanctions were to pass, it would have been extremely draconian. It would have just paralyzed Ethiopia, because the sanction says not only you do ABC, but other countries that will invest, lend money, support Ethiopia will be penalized. So they were going to make it like Cuba. When you see Eritrean Americans, they did a really good job of funneling funds. They have one mind, one accord. So we need to be able to have some communication system, PR system, that will bring all the diaspora together again and actually communicate. When there's killing, communicate. So compassion goes a long way. If you talk to the audience and say, this is why it's happening, and we're going to take care of the people that have murdered people mercilessly. I mean, they're showing us videos of people cutting pregnant women. And you know, Ethiopians really value a pregnant woman. It's sacred, you know. And so those things, when these things show extremely, they send it through our media, it goes viral. That's all we're saying. It's a shock, and they do it for shock and awe. And so what they're doing is, in my view, just like Americans were trying to do when they tried to remove a president or a prime minister from his power. They want to remove him. First thing they do is they separate the prime minister from the people that voted for him. This is systematic. They play psychological warfare. They use social media. They use CNN. They use New York Times. And everybody's talking about is the killing. Killing is gruesome. I mean, even if one person dies. And so then there needs to be a PR effort and communication effort to communicate to the diaspora, to communicate to people here, and actionable items. Okay, we're going to get rid of them, this and that. So I think that will really...
You've been heard commenting that the only way to have peace in the Ethiopian horizon is disarming TPLF. And that is being entertained now. Recently, TPLF has handed over huge military apparatus to the federal government lately. You have heard about it, right?
Yes.
Any insights? Would you
great.
like to
Yeah,
re-insight
that's
us?
wonderful. That's a great success. Most of the fact shows that there is a lot of destabilization. People want to destabilize and change regime, maybe. I don't know. I mean, it's difficult to talk without having facts, but what I see is there's still movement. There's still killing. And so we need to be able to control that as well. And I think intelligence is very important in that.
Okay, and let's talk about this rehabilitation.
Yeah.
And revamping the vandalized resources in the northern part, in the war-torn regions. And of course the government is doing its part so far. What is expected from different stakes in rehabilitating those conflicts?
We just did a huge fundraising in Oakland, California. A couple of doctors, a couple of nurses were there, and then they recently, I think the day before yesterday or so, delivered a huge amount of rehabilitation material, hospital equipments. I think they funded the whole entire region, part of the entire region in Wello, and also Afar regions, and we're always involved in fundraising. Almost like every week there's some sort of fundraising. But we need to galvanize the diaspora. I mean, we need to make the diaspora, we can't lose the diaspora. I'm not saying that they matter, but they do matter because, like I said earlier, from the sanction and also rehabilitation, everybody wants to invest in the motherland. They have so much love for Ethiopia, and I think that could be accomplished. If you ask me, what I would do here is just set up a PR communications strategic office just to attract the diaspora.
Appreciate it. Another question. A week ago, a delegation led by Tagase Chafo, Speaker of the House, went to Mekelle and discussed with stakeholders, those who have drawn from different segments of the society in Mekelle. What does that show?
That shows strength.
In having this, in entertaining this peace process.
Yes, I admire him. I think I met him last week as well. It's just a wonderful, phenomenal person. I mean, we have really good people going and doing this, and they're strategic. Finally, so I'm very happy about that.
Yeah. Finally, if you have any message, remark, and the floor is yours.
Okay, I really love what's going on in Addis. Addis is beautiful, but I also think that we should be using our language because language is sovereignty. Because whatever language you're using, that is. If you go to Japan, China, Korea, they will never speak to you with a different language. So when we put the British, because Kenya is colonized, right? So India is colonized, but we were never colonized. So my children are asking me, you know, how come they're not writing in their language? So it looks like you're in Europe. That's one thing. The other thing is, every time I talk to people, everybody loves their country. Everybody's intermarried. You know, within my family, you're going to introduce them. And the unity park, let's just hold on to that. And Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's doctrine is Maddamer. We need to be added with each other. And that's all the message I have, is that we need to unite and save Ethiopia.
Okay, Asqual Tafri, thank you for giving us this valuable insight and making time to appear here. We would like to appreciate you on behalf of OBN Horn of Africa.
Thank you, Addis.